So now we're going to talk about the Dust Bowl.
Well, I was born in 1926,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember just what years the Dust Bowl was, but that was probably in the early 30s. And my dad was poor like everybody else, very little money, but we never did go hungry. We milked cows, and we had a few chickens, and he always separated the milk and fed the slop to the hogs, and they got by, and we had pork to eat. You could butcher those in the wintertime, and the old Dust Bowl was, man, the wind blowing, it was drought was terrible, and the dust was terrible. It'd get in, of course, I grew up in a two-room dugout with a rooms off to one side, which was 1 by 12s with a lath nailed over the cracks. And believe me, the dust got in somehow. There would get dust in absolutely on everything. But during that time too, the black flies were so thick. It was unbelievable how thick. And we'd get ready to try to eat and get to the table. We each one of us grab a big washcloth and shoo the flies out the screen door the best we could. That thinned them down so we could tolerate them till we'd eat. But poor old cows run out of something to eat. And one time Dad chopped down a cottonwood tree, big cottonwood tree, and the old cows would eat the twigs and the smaller limbs. It's unbelievable how big a limb an old cow can eat when she's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
She just slobber and waller it, stick around until she got all the bark eat off of it. And he always had horses. I don't remember too much about. Had one saddle horse named Prince, and there was a Dover Springs School was just up over the hill, about a little over a half mile from the house. And I recall my older brothers and sisters were going to school there at that time, and I was 4. Well, Dad told me to take that saddle horse and lead him up there to the school so my oldest brother could go check the cattle when he got out of school. I got about halfway up there and I got the horse down the ditch and climbed on him and rode him up there. So from there on, I rode horse. I didn't walk any more than I had to. But I spent many a summer on horseback herding cows in Dover Springs Park. That's a 40-acre park that had grass because every place else there was no grass. And Buffalo, he didn't have to pay them to keep the grass seed to eat down. But I recall I was about 9 years old when they had a black dust storm moved in. Man, it was black. He absolutely couldn't see nothing. It was darker than any night you ever seen. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face at all. But I had 2 brothers that they were off someplace, but they somehow made it to the house and got in the cellar. We were in the cellar. We didn't know what kind of storm it was. Then one time we had a tornado that came within a half mile or so of there. maybe a little over a quarter mile, and blew our neighbor's house away. The old Zollinger's, Harry Zollinger place. And it done a little damage around our place, but it blew down their barn and their house, and he had a couple of mules tied in the barn, and the mules carried them. The tornado carried them up over a hill, about quarter of a mile from there. And when it's all over, then the mules are over there grazing in the bottom of the draw. They wasn't hurt, but how they got there, nobody knows. But and we had one little house that was turned upside down. But and I recall one time the lightning had struck right fairly close to the house, and the ground was hollow underneath. In other words, a horse fell into his belly. It was just there was a hole where the lightning hit the ground. But
Did you get the horse out?
Yes,
Huh.
he wandered around and got out himself.
Uh-huh.
And that, but there in Adobe Springs Park was what they call a bog, and every once in a while we'd have a cow or even a horse get in that bog, and they absolutely couldn't get out by themselves. We'd throw a rope on their head and use a horse and pull the cows out. They just wouldn't be anything but their head, top of their head, and maybe their tail sticking up out of the bog.
Wow.
And
So when you, how old were you when you left the dugout?
When I what?
When you left the dugout. Your first house.
Oh, the old
Sod house.
sod house.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I grew up in the sod house, and I was in high school when the folks got enough money to build a house, and after that they tore sometime after that they tore down the old sod house. But they built the two side rooms off the sod house. They took those down and built a house, tile brick house, in that right there close to the sod house. Then eventually it's turned down and tore out the sod house. That was after I left and went to service
Okay.
in 44.
Huh. Well, so you never had an indoor plumbing.
No.
So there was
Not
always
that-
an
not at
outhouse.
We always had an outhouse.
And did you have running water?
No, where we lived wasn't deep to water, and we had a little pitcher pump in the kitchen. We could pump water in a sink with that pitcher pump, but then we of course had a pipe drained out and back out. That was a big help, but we didn't have running water or electric water, or no bathroom. Of course, the bathroom was out approximately 40 yards out southeast of the house.
Well, I must have been in junior high when they got a toilet, a bathroom.
Well, when they built the house, they put in a bathroom
Okay.
in early 40s.
But we still used a pot under the bed. Why did we do that?
Did what?
We still had a pot under the bed.
Well, old habits are hard to break.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a bathroom when you were born,
Okay.
because they had the new house when we were married. It wasn't in the sod.
Yeah.
They didn't live in the sod house.
Yeah, I kind of forget that they still had the outdoor outhouse when I left in 1944.
So you had 11 kids in your family
Yes,
that were born to Mildred and Nolan Miller,
yes.
and you had, where were you in that lineup?
I was fifth. Bill, Norval, Nelma, Taylor, Madeline. I was sixth.
Okay.
Number six.
And then who after that?
Then below me was Alan, Burton, Cody, and Zach.
Okay. And what about Bertha? Or no, what was your
Bertha
sister's
D
name?
was
Bertha D.
Bertha D was a twin to Merton.
And what happened
And
to her?
she was about 2 years old, and she had fell down and skinned her leg and got erysipelas, which is some type of blood poison.
Okay.
And of course, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't ever see her.
Okay.
I don't remember at all.
Okay.
But-
So then there were 10 kids.
They won.
So you had 10, there were 10 kids after
Yes.
her.
Hmm.
Okay.
And my oldest brother was gone. He was old enough, older than me, 9 years older than me, and he was already gone. And now I wasn't really close to any of the older ones. See, Taylor worked partway at high school, and he got a job for him someplace else. And that left me as the oldest boy. Lots and lots of jobs fell in my lap.
Uh-huh.
Driving a tractor, had a little old F12 farmall tractor. And I spent hours and hours chopping wood for the stove.
Mm-hmm.
Had a pot-bellied stove for the inside the middle of the sod house, and then I had a wood stove in the kitchen for Mom's cooking.
Hey, Derek.